The man suddenly realized that he might be about to strike it rich. Spotting a patch of wet sand in the desert meant water was hidden beneath. Without saying another word, he immediately started digging furiously. Sure enough, after a long time, golden spring water gushed up from underground. Overjoyed, he quickly scooped up the water and drank. When he saw that water kept bubbling up into the sandpit, he instantly came up with a great idea to make a fortune. Because hundreds of people pass through this desert every day. If he dug a well here, it would be like picking up free money. Thinking this plan would work, John immediately got to work. Sure enough, it wasn't long before he dug a well. After that, he just lay quietly beside it, waiting for customers to come. As it turned out, things went exactly as he expected. A thirsty cowboy soon walked over, didn't ask anything, and was about to squat down and drink his fill. "That's 10 cents. That's my water, my land." Having to pay for water, the cowboy was immediately unhappy. Yeah. Then swaggering, he got ready to mount his horse and leave. Little did he know that this move would infuriate John, who raised his gun and shot the cowboy dead on the spot. But seeing the cowboy lying motionless on the ground, John didn't feel the slightest bit of fear. Instead, he picked up a shovel and dug a pit nearby. As long as he buried the body, no one would ever find out about this. But unexpectedly just then, another person strolled over at a leisurely pace, startling John so much that he immediately raised his gun and fired. It turned out the person was just a passing priest. Seeing this, the priest quickly raised a white cloth to surrender and beg for mercy. John spared his life, but the priest had no idea that he had to pay for water. As he leaned over the well to drink his fill, John suddenly pointed his shotgun at the priest's head. He said, "A ladle of water costs 10 cents. If you don't pay, I'll throw you in the pit and bury you." When the priest heard he had to pay, he refused and tried to persuade John to stop doing such bad things. But John didn't listen to any of that. Seeing that John was about to pull the trigger, the priest had no choice but to reluctantly take out 10 cents and hand it to John. And just like that, John made his first bit of money in the desert, while the priest finally got to drink after holding out for so long. But who would have thought that after drinking, the priest realized that this well was actually a way to make a fortune. He immediately offered to buy the well for $10, or else he would go to town and report John for illegal business. Hearing this, John was so angry he gritted his teeth. The priest fired several shots, but John didn't shoot him. Instead, he kept thanking the priest because he suddenly remembered something extremely important. Then John rushed to town to buy land, but the Land Bureau thought that patch of desert was worthless and sold him 2 square miles for just $2.50. At this point, John had no idea that this move would put him on the path to the peak of his life. After getting the land certificate, John went to the bank to apply for a loan, since he needed some money to get the well business started. When the bank manager heard that John wanted to develop the desert, he immediately thought John was crazy, because it seemed impossible to make any money from that barren land. After hearing this, John grabbed the kettle on the table and, without saying a word, poured it onto the manager's pants. He explained he'd found a desert water source, but the manager still threw him out. Over the past decades, prospectors had scoured the desert, so even if there was a water source, it wouldn't be his to find. With no other options left, John could only try his luck at a loan shark company. The boss didn't kick him out, but to get a loan he needed something to use as collateral. John had nothing of value on him and turned away with a look of grievance. Just as he reached the door, however, the boss suddenly called out to him,
"I want to hear more." "Why? Why not?" "I always thought you,
Surprisingly, the boss felt his sincerity. And just like that, they gave him $100 loan without any hesitation started. So, John somehow got the money. But as soon as John stepped outside, his eyes really lit up because he saw a truly stunning, incredibly beautiful blonde woman right there. At the time, John thought he had found true love, but little did he know, the woman was disgusted by his body odor. However, to get her hands on John's money, she enjoyed the smell and helped him take a bath. But who knew John would try to skip out as soon as he put his pants on after his bath. This infuriated the woman, and she threw a chamber pot at him. John, not one to take advantage at all, bought a brand new chamber pot that evening and returned it, also inviting her to be the owner of the inn he had built in the desert, since she'd found a valuable water source there. At first, the woman thought she could finally turn her life around, but the next day when she arrived, she discovered the conditions were poor. Even the bowls were fixed and couldn't be removed. To keep the woman there, John made her a very cozy bed. That's how the woman agreed to stay and become the landlady. Thanks to her, John began to enjoy an enviable life. As time passed, she took care of the laundry, cooking, and inn, while John focused on expanding his well water business. John was just another guy a few months ago. Now he's a local millionaire. The inn is packed with people. They thought the good times were beginning, and truly believed that. But his success has made the banker who refused him money envious. Without hesitation, the manager planned to invest $50,000 to renovate the inn thoroughly and beautifully indeed. John immediately agreed, and with this large sum of money in hand, he ultimately bought the entire desert. This way, anyone passing the inn had to stop for a drink and pay. As a direct result, business really boomed, eventually transforming the inn into a large ranch, and the woman became a very wealthy landowner. I thought these days of counting money until my hands were sore would last forever, but one day, some robbers came to the inn, ransacking the entire place thoroughly and violently. They found absolutely nothing of real value at all. Just as they were about to leave in disappointment, the man ate his soup, not his slightly disturbed sand, carefully realizing valuable treasure was, in fact, hidden beneath. They immediately started digging, but after digging for a long time, they found absolutely nothing at all. Just as they were about to give up completely, a coin suddenly appeared from the sand. This made them incredibly happy, but they had no idea that the innkeeper had already spotted them. John knew all along they were up to no good, so he deliberately planted some coins here, waiting for them to exhaust themselves. They cleaned up together. The night owls were instantly terrified, firing wildly into the air to boast of their courage. But John wasn't one to be trifled with. He tossed a few spicy sticks into the hole, sending them scrambling out in a panic. But then John was already pointing a gun at them. The two would-be robbers never imagined they'd not only fail to steal any money, but also be forced to strip naked completely at gunpoint. John then ordered them to run and seriously threatened to shoot if they stopped. The man in the suit refused to run, knowing there was absolutely no water in the desert, and he'd quickly die of thirst. Instead, he raised his weapon to fiercely fight John head-on, but almost before he could even ask, John shot him dead. Seeing his companion killed, the terrified old man immediately knelt, begging for mercy. Just then, a car suddenly approached. Seeing it, the old man ran frantically towards the vehicle, but the driver, seeing John holding a gun, was too scared to sell. Desperate, the old man ran uphill as John demanded, but after only a few steps, he faltered, realizing he'd die of thirst if he continued. He turned back, kneeling and begging John to spare his life, offering to stay and toil as a laborer. Seeing the old man's pitiful look, John softened considerably and gave him a small, simple job at the inn. Soon after that, the innkeeper returned to the inn in a brand new car. The old man was extremely envious and really wanted a ride in the new car, even expressing his desire greatly, but unfortunately, the car wasn't parked properly with the handbrake on. John quickly pushed him aside and desperately tried to stop the rapidly moving vehicle with his arm bun, showing true courage. That's how he completely lost his ability to walk. Just as John's life hit rock bottom, his partner came to really kick him while he was down. He not only dug a hole and buried him, but also kidnapped the boss's wife. John never imagined he'd work so incredibly hard, only to end up with absolutely nothing at all.